So, what exactly is tenants by the entireties, or what we call TbyE? Tenants by the entireties. It is one of the best asset protection laws in the state of Florida. Hello, everyone. I'm Coach JRDukes with JRDukes.com. I appreciate you joining me today. Today, I'm coming at you with another video. We are going to be talking about tenants by the entireties. What is tenants by the entireties? I received via a comment on one of my previous videos, an individual asked me, what does TbyE mean? Can I add my daughter to my checking account to protect my checking account in Illinois? Well, I appreciate you sending me this particular comment, and we're going to dive right into it right now. Simply put, TbyE, tenants by the entireties, is a type of property ownership that is reserved specifically for married couples, and it comes with rights of survivorship. In other words, if one spouse is the first to die, the other spouse will inherit the property in their personal name free and clear. With rights of survivorship, the surviving spouse will receive the property upon the death of the first spouse. The great thing about tenants by the entireties is that property held, TbyE, is completely exempt from the debts and judgments of a single spouse. So, for example, let's say there is a judgment against the husband. The good news here is that all TbyE property that is owned by the husband and the wife would be absolutely immune from the judgment creditor. The property is absolutely 100% protected and safe. Now, you must remember there are rules pertaining to TbyE property that you must follow to have your property properly held and protected in a TbyE arrangement. One of the most important things that you must remember is you don't ever want to do something that would void or disclaim or otherwise stop the TbyE label on your property. In other words, when you go to the bank for a checking account with your spouse, you want to make sure the account specifically says TbyE after your name. You do not want to ever check a box on the form that says we want to hold this property separately, for example, as tenancy in common. That is something that would cause serious issues with the TbyE designation. The good news is that in most states, especially in the state of Florida, it is automatically presumed your property is TbyE when you own it in conjunction with your spouse. It is very important to remember that TbyE protection will only protect you in the case of a single creditor. For example, let's say the husband has a creditor against him. Well, all property that is owned, TbyE, would be protected from collection or garnishment. However, if the husband and wife hypothetically was to have some kind of judgment against them that was a joint judgment in both of their names, well, TbyE property would not be protected in that particular case. Now, there are a few things that you want to be very careful of when it comes to setting up TbyE protection. And today I'm just going to talk about 2 or 3 of them. First, you want to make sure that you have the property acquired at the same time when you're married. You must be married at the time that you acquire the property. In other words, as we stated earlier, if you were to have a checking account that you own prior to marriage, and then after marriage you simply added your spouse to that particular checking account, that will not afford you TbyE protection. The law is very clear that the property must be acquired during the marriage. So in this particular example, the way to cure this problem is to simply open a brand new checking account together at the same time after you are legally married. Another serious consideration to remember is that in the event of a divorce, the tenants by the entireties no longer exist. It's broken, and that can immediately open you up to creditor claims. Another consideration is when one of the spouses dies, well, the concept of tenants by the entireties also dies, and the property can be exposed to creditor claims at that particular time. I also want to briefly mention that in a bankruptcy proceeding, Tenants by the Entireties, or TbyE, does have a lot of advantages that might protect your assets in the event you have to file for a bankruptcy. This is something you definitely would want to contact a bankruptcy attorney concerning. Another important concept of Tenants by the Entireties is you must remember that Tenants by the Entireties will not stop what is called criminal forfeiture, specifically federal criminal forfeiture. The reason for this is real simple. The federal courts are not bound by state law. So in other words, a state creditor might not be able to reach a TbyE type of property. However, the federal agencies, the federal government, the IRS, for example, definitely can. So you always must remember that when you are looking into a TbyE type of property. Another question that you might be thinking is, if I move to Florida with my spouse, does my property held with my spouse automatically become titled as tenants by the entireties? This is a very deep question and a involving area of the law. As a matter of fact, as of the date of this recording, there are conflicting rulings in the courts pertaining to this very subject. I believe the best way to look at it, and I think the most likely way the courts are going to interpret this type of question, is the following. Basically, your property is going to have the characteristics of whatever the property was titled in the state that you acquired the property. The best way to think of this is the courts will generally and most likely say that just because you moved to Florida does not change the title or characteristics of the property. So as you can see, TbyE, Tenants by the Entirety, is a fantastic advantage to living in Florida if you are a married person. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or drop me an email anytime. I would also like to know if you like this type of video or if you like other videos along this type of subject. Please take a minute, hit the thumbs up button. Also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. I do appreciate you joining me today. I want you folks to always remember to have that free mind and never give up. I am JR Dukes.